I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up on our agenda are a couple public hearings. First one is a public hearing to adopt the 2026 to 2030 Olmsted County Capital Improvement Plan and authorize the issuance of capital improvement plan bonds and designate transportation sales tax projects. Welcome.
There's Cami Iverson, Physical Development Controller. So I'll run through this PowerPoint quickly and then we'll hold the public hearing and you can adopt all of those resolutions. Okay, so go to the next. Oh, I can do it right here. Okay. Just a reminder that the capital improvement plan is just a best practice of multi-year planning tool for our capital projects. Plans our projects over multi-year. It's a roadmap. It's the basis for which our financial decisions are made for our capitals. And it creates our capital budget for the current year. It lists future projects to consider when they may happen. It estimates costs and it proposes some funding sources. And just a reminder that years 2 through 5 in the CIP are just plans. We're just adopting the first year of them. So yeah, this is just our timeline of what we've done this year. We started the CIP in June. Really, we started talking about it probably in March, but just lists out the times when you guys had some time to give feedback and things like that. So we've talked about it a lot. I think you guys know that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. This is just a summary. So for 2026, that pie piece that's gray that stuck out, there's $115 million of CIP projects that we're going to ask you to adopt. Trunk Highway 14 and 44 interchange is the biggest one of this. And then from 2027 to 2030, there's about $345 million of projects. Again, those are plans. They're not adopted, it's just proposed. So 461 million total. The next one is just a list of some 2026 significant projects. We have the material recovery facility going on this year. We have the exhibition center going on this year, and we have 14 and 44. 14 and 44, it's a multi-year project, so we are adding some more in the 2026 budget, and you'll see more added in the 27 budget. That's just how we plan that out. But the estimated total of that's the 95.9. And then County Road 147 reconstruction, that did start last year, had some money approved, and we're adding 14.4 there. There's Grand 5 Training Center for 10 million and 3 Oxbow Trail Bridges for 4.5. So those are just a flavor of the larger projects that we have in the CIP. And then I'm not going to go through these, but 2027 to 2030, there's quite a few large projects there, and you guys have talked about them or discuss them, so we can go forward. This is just expenditures by department. You can see transportation. Those projects are large and they cost significant dollars. So just a breakdown of where all the expenses are in what departments. This one is our funding sources. So you can see lost and wheelage tax. It's $107 million over that 5 years. We are getting or hope to get state and federal funds of 137 million, and then 124 million in debt. And then we have some smaller funding sources. And we do put some unfunded things in there for $21 million. We just want to recognize that the project is a plan, but we don't have funding sources at this time. So we want you guys to know that it's on the horizon. We just don't know how we're going to fund it. This one is a list of all of our debt funding in the 2026 to 2030 CIP. So some of the projects are funded partially from debt and partially from other things. So we tried to make that more clear this year. So the red box for the 2026 debt, we have about $16.6 million in 26 debt. But last year, we delayed some debt issuance from the 25 debt issuance for the material recovery facility. We wanted to wait to see if we could get, when we get the bids, what the price would be there. Plus just leave room for some other funding opportunities if they came up. So we will be issuing those on top of our 26 CIP bonds. So 44.5 estimated total. And then this is just a summary of this. Geo bonds of 4.2, the Gram 5 bonds of 10 million, which will be funded by RYHA. So that's something to note. And then the solid waste bonds will be about 29.9 million, 44.5. This slide just shows the top red section is that with the 2026 estimated debt that we're proposing, it would be about $3.2 million annually new debt service. So that's the new debt service. And then this slide shows where the funding sources will come from for there. So of the 3.2 million, 312,000 would be levy funded. 736,000 would be the RYHA funding for the Gram 5, and then 2.2 would be the solid waste fund. So just lets you guys know what'll pay for that. And then this one is just if we do all of the projects with the debt funding that we have in the CIP, so 2026 to 2030, you can see at the bottom chart just tells you how much extra debt service we're going to add every year if all of those projects go forward with what we say. This is a brand new thing that we're starting this year. So designating the transportation sales tax projects. As you all know, in 2013, we did a 0.25% local option sales tax per the DMC statute. And then in 2017, we added another 0.25 per the regular statute 297A. When we enacted that 2017 laws per statute 297A, it covered projects listed in the 2017 to 2041 CIP. And as you know, we revise those projects every year. So Ben did a little research. There's a couple counties that each year they have the board adopt the list of lost projects, local option sales tax projects. We've checked with a bunch of people. We don't have to do this, but we think it's best practice to do this. Since our CIP has changed and our projects change over time, we just want to formally put this resolution in there and say, board, what's in the CIP this year for local option sales tax? We just want you to acknowledge that and approve that. So we don't think it's necessary, but we want best practice. So it will be an annual request with the CIP since it fits so well.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
Okay, any questions before we open the public hearing?
I have two. When the DMC bill was enacted, that 0.25%, the intention of that was to pay for transportation infrastructure within the DMC zone, or at least, yes. Is that the way we spend that money, do you know, or am I getting too far into?
Well, we do
Questions
give
that you probably
$3
don't
million of that a year to,
DMC?
yep,
How much? I'm sorry, how much?
3 million.
3, okay.
Yep. And I can't remember when that stops.
Okay. My other question was
36.
we're talking about authorizing $44.5 million worth of bonding authority. Does that mean you will sell the bonds as you need to, as you have cash needs, right? Or do you sell them right? Just like you're going to do it tomorrow, or
No,
how does this
we'll
work?
wait. So what we've been doing
Yeah.
is selling them more in the fall timeframe.
Okay.
So we can, a lot of these projects will start and we can get bids on them
Sure.
and issue the right amount of bonds. We don't want to
Okay.
over issue.
I'm thinking specifically of those interchanges out at Byron. If we have to, if the county has to substantially put money into those, and I think they're authorized under this bill, I think.
Right now, I don't think we have any debt on.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they come up and we don't have enough local option sales tax or things like that, we might,
Would this authorize money for the 44 60th Avenue?
nope, nope.
Or
The-
not
this debt
44,
issuance.
1460.
Yeah, this debt issuance doesn't have that
Okay.
funding yet, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open the public hearing.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is open. Would anybody like to speak for or against this issuance of capital improvement plan bonds and transportation sales tax projects? Second time, would anyone like to speak for or against this? Third time. Not hearing anything.
Move to close the public hearing.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the public hearing is closed. Comments, motions?
Chair, I would move adoption of the resolution as proposed regarding the sale of capital improvement bonds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. All right, next up. Approve amendments to the chapter 3500 solid waste management ordinance. So we'll speak to that and then we'll open a public hearing on it. So. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Kathy Hall. I'm the Environmental Resources Director, and we are here tonight to approve the amendments to Chapter 3500 of the Solid Waste Management Ordinance. As with all ordinances, they from time to time need to be revisited and make clarifications, adoptions, as times change or if things aren't connecting quite right. So here tonight is Alex Kreminga. He's the Solid Waste Assurance Coordinator. And we'll go through kind of the overview of the revisions that are in the ordinance that we're proposing changed and adopted.
All right, what we're looking at doing is the overall revision is strengthening the solid waste ordinance, hauler operation standards, enhancing designation and compliance, record keeping, enhancing the safety protocols that occurred when we had a OSHA audit. We realized that we have these safety protocols in place, but we probably need to codify them a little bit better into the ordinance so that besides the hauler, when they go through the licensing, get to the training, they will also get, it will also be in there what we expect. Update penalties and outline to make sure that it aligns with Chapter 3550 designation. Address cannabis waste when we're dealing with a composting facility and management construction of such sites. We did go through the cannabis earlier this year, and we realized that we probably didn't address that quite as well as we should have. And improve customer protection, environmental stewardship, consistent with enforcement. Well, we want to make sure that everyone knows the rules of the game and how they're going to be enforced, if you want to put it into general type terms. And then align the fee structure and delivery requirements to update service change policies and things like that. So one of the areas we went through was the definitions. So we improved the definitions, added some definitions that were not in there, making sure that we were aligning our material and equipment and how it aligns with state statute, or what we view as recyclable material and things like that. Points of delivery, we needed to improve points of delivery during our time between the designation and our policy. For some reason, we skipped over the fact that we do have a contract agreement with a transfer station out in Stewartville. That kind of came about even when the policy was first written, and we realized that we probably really need to codify that within the policy as well. Then we also wanted to strengthen and clarify the requirements of all the class of haulers. the expectations, the definitions, things like that. One of the big things was record keeping. We've gone through some audits, so we also wanted to make sure that we were strengthening, making sure that what we were looking for in the audits, what we were expecting of the haulers to keep records on, that we had that in place as well. Declare of a peacetime emergency and things like that. We just strengthened language in there and the requirements there. Clarifying sticker requirements, insurance and inspection requirements, that all is part of the licensing requirement of the haulers. We wanted to make sure that that was clear. Talking a little bit about clarification of sites, agricultural sites, construction sites, what is expected on those sites, and then also talking about what we view as junk and debris, and then what we also expect from fire damage sites as well. And then get a little bit more into the prohibited burning, clarifying that a little bit more. Won't go through every single one of these. One of the big things was the safety protocols, making sure that everyone understood those, and laying that out. And the safety protocols really are in there were more for the OWF, the waste energy facility. The other big part of it was aligning with Chapter 350, and aligning with Minnesota state statutes. Record keeping, we talked about that. We then talked about how long the records need to be kept for as well. Fees, did that. Enforcement, yes. So those are kind of where we were at. So I will open it up to questions. I think we've covered many of the hot topics in regards to what we were doing here.
Okay, any questions before we open the public hearing? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Can I get a motion to open?
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is open. We already got a couple people signed up. Brady Seskill, you want to come up?
How you doing, commissioners? I'm Brady Staysclaw, I'm owner of Junket LLC. Give you a little oversight of me. Basically in 2003, I used to work for Junk Be Gone. I was the first employee of them, worked for them for 4 to 5 years. In 2008, I started my own junk removal company called Junket LLC. This upcoming year, we've been going for 22 years. There's a couple things I would like to ask as I was reviewing the packet. And on page 11 for 35002.15, I noticed that at one point we weren't considered one of the commercial haulers, but now they're wiping that out and we're going to be considered a commercial hauler. I would like that the licensing be capped is the same as Class A and Class C haulers. Class B is basically organics, I believe, so it's not really the same as what we're, the line that we're into. I feel that the haulers are overpopulated in town, and it's causing all of us to basically fight for the business. Back in 2022 was probably my best year. From 2022 to 2023, we lost $19,000. Excuse me. From 2023 to 2024, we lost $30,000. And that's basically when the county stepped in and regulated everything. Before that time, we really had no regulation. So tonight I'm asking that you guys look at possibly capping our license for the Class D haulers, so we can all survive.
So right now it's unlimited.
Mhm.
And what would you propose that it should be?
Something reasonable. I mean, if it was 15 licenses, I would feel is reasonable. If you guys want to do less and then open it up to more people down the road, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But the, if you look at the cities back when this, the junk hauling first came to eye, everyone and their brother did it. And then once all the regulations came in, they all dropped off. So if you even go Google junk removal in places up in the cities, basically all you see is the big corporate companies. There's not a lot of small locally owned. And the same thing with Olmsted County. Excuse me. I mean, there's basically 164,000 people in Olmsted County and Rochester. There's 123,000 in Rochester alone. Take that over 16 people that are hauling right now. And I believe back when we were at our height, I would say we had maybe 2 to 3% of the population for hauling distributed amongst the original 5 people. So now I would say we're maybe half of 1% to 1%.
Is your opinion that there are 16?
I think it's 16 we're at now. Yep.
You're proposing that it's capped around that? Because otherwise, I mean, if we're talking about capping at a number lower than that, then we got to
You
figure
can't
out.
do that because you've already let other people do it. Or capping it lower, and if they fall off, then, but like I said, it's basically, it's hard for everyone.
I'm sure it is, but if we do nothing, I mean, why would anybody enter this field if it's so difficult to make $1 at it?
Well, you're gonna see they're gonna get into it and then they're gonna fail. We've already seen it with, I mean, since I've been doing it, I would say I've seen 6 or 7 other companies come and go. They come into it thinking that they see us driving around. They go buy all the equipment and they don't think that I really don't have the business to start with. So, it's a word of mouth and you got to grow,
Sure. Yep. Okay. Do you want to speak to this at all, or were you familiar with this request coming forward? Either you, Alex, or Kathy? Okay. So
We've talked about it in the past before.
So I think that's something we may consider it as a board. I don't know that it's going to be something that we're going to implement tonight because
Right.
it's nothing that was on our thing. But
Right.
I appreciate you bringing this to our attention,
Okay.
Brady.
I
So,
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you. You bet. Okay. Next up, Matthias, come on forward, Harder.
Speak tonight. I don't, as far as the rest of the items, that Brady brought up here, I didn't see
Can you
anything
get a little closer?
that are controversial in here. So just, we're in favor of it. I think it was housekeeping, but I also just wanted to take the opportunity to say, we really appreciate the opportunity to do business here in Olmsted County. We've been here for about 2.5 years now, and it's just worked really well working with the county. And I know that doesn't happen by accident when things function, from my perspective, the way they're supposed to. We do business in a lot of other counties, and we've been doing business in Winona and Fillmore County until the county opened it up and we were able to come into Olmsted 2.5 years ago, and just working with Tony and Alex, and looking forward to working with Kathy going forward. Things just go well. There's good communication, and as far as Alex mentioned, safety items at the incinerator, there's just good, effective communication, and we just really appreciate. We know that doesn't happen by accident, and we appreciate your leadership. That stuff comes from the top down, and we enjoy doing business in Olmsted because we feel that things are done well here. There's a sustainable program. We're looking forward to the MRF coming online. We run a MRF as well over in La Crosse, and we're looking forward to doing more construction and demolition debris. We're very invested in the city of Rochester and Olmsted County, and I'm one of 8 in my family, and I've got 6 kiddos and a lot of siblings that work in the business as well. We've been doing it for four generations, and my kids are the 5th generation coming up. So we plan to be in the business for a very long time, and again, we're very invested interested and just looking forward to continuing to do business in Olmsted and any way that we can help with the MRF coming online and help supporting that. We've got a lot of competency built up for the years we've been operating processing facilities and over the years in the hauling business. So just want to say thanks to everyone for all that you do to make it easy to do business in Olmsted County. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, any more comments? Second time, any more comments? Third and final time, any more comments? All right,
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motions, questions?
Move to approve the amendments to chapter 3500 solid waste management ordinance.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
just, I hope that we can have some more conversation at physical development with respect to this gentleman's
Yes.
issue and maybe better understand it. And, he seems to have us pretty sincerely said concerned and if we could help him, I'd like to.
Oh, I think we'll have discussions going forward. Just can't make changes tonight, so.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There's a long list. A, approve Olmsted County Board minutes from December 4th. B, accept outdoor heritage funding from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. C, adopt the 2026 Chester Heights Sewer Subordinate Service District budget and fee schedule. D, approve gambling permit for Stewartville Sportsman's Club. E, approve gambling permit for Upper River Ducks Unlimited. F, approve gambling permit for Deer Creek Longspurs National Wildlife Federation. G, approve gambling permit for Lake Zumbro Forever. H, approve the 2026 Olmsted County Board calendar. I, approve the 2026 Chairperson's Contingency Account. J, approve the 2026 Olmsted County Commissioner salaries and in-county expense allowance per month. K, approve the 2026 non-contract compensation plan. L, approve the 2026 elected official salaries. M, approve in-county expense allowance. N, approve the 2026 board and committee assignments. O, I'm saying numbers that aren't there. Approve collective bargaining agreements. P, approve flex leave time policy amendment. Q, appoint Valeria Cristiani to Public Health Services Advisory Board. R, authorize transit sales and use tax for transportation related services. S, approve the 2026 reserves for general obligation bonds. T, docks recovery house lease agreement. U, reappoint 2026 advisory board members. V, Root River lease agreement. Actions.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call out item J for, and pull it from the consent agenda for further discussion and a possible vote.
Okay, just Jay.
Just J.
Okay. All right, so I'm entertaining, we got a motion here let's approve everything except J and move J out, right?
Very good.
Okay, can I get a second for that?
Second here.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move to J. We'll move it first on discussion decision items. Would you like?
Okay, very good. Thank you. This is an important topic, with the county commissioner salaries. I just felt as though, given the current budget constraints, that it would make sense to revisit this and the salary and pay raise for commissioners and to have a discussion and hopefully a separate vote. Olmsted County commissioners are the fourth highest paid per capita in the state. In Olmsted County, commissioners are paid $2.67 per resident. And the average in the state for commissioners is $2.31 per resident. I believe this is also the third straight 10% pay raise for county commissioners. And I don't think we've seen county employees receive those kinds of increases. In fact, most businesses, particularly in this economic environment, are certainly not seeing those kinds of increases. In fact, over the last 2 years, county employees received a 2.25% cost of living wage increase in 25, and then a 3.5% increase proposed for 2026. So I would, at this point, like to see another vote at the very least for transparency purposes on this, and perhaps maybe I've changed some minds on this pay raise.
Okay. All right. So would anybody like to discuss this before we take a vote? Michelle?
I would support and echo the sentiments expressed by my colleague, Commissioner Hopkins. I have spoken against this 10% pay raise for the last 2 years. I also believe that when we're considering budgets and looking at the averages that our employees get as percentage raises, I think our salaries should mirror those percentages that are given to our employees, and raising our salaries every year. I think, again, 10% is just excessive. We are adequately compensated for the jobs that we perform, and I'm against the 10% pay raise.
Okay. Any more comments? Greg?
Appreciate the comments that were made. But the comparisons to what the employees get and what the commissioners didn't go back far enough. So that may be true this year, but the reason why we're in this situation is because in past years, those increases weren't there. And this is a difficulty of trying to make up time or make up things that past boards should have done a long time ago, but didn't do. And I think that that's why we're here in this situation. Our goal, when we started out on this process, was simply to get the commissioner salaries in Olmsted County to the average of like commissioners in the state. And we're not quite there even to get up to the average salary. So in that sense, I would say that the commissioners are not appropriately compensated. And I still feel that our goal ought to be to at least get us to the average of those salaries.
Okay. All right. Before I have more discussion, I'm going to invite Travis up here to share some of the information that's been shared with us in the past.
Chairman, Commissioners, Travis Grancy, the Olmsted County Administrator. I did just want to share a little bit of information here. As many of you know, well, all of you know, that we've been doing this elected official salary study. I believe this is the 5th year now that we've done this. And the purpose of this is to make sure that you've got information in regards to what it does look like in other counties across the state. And in part, this is about the commissioners. In part, this is also about your elected sheriff and the elected county attorney. So all 3 of those salary comparisons are in this report then that you've gotten on an annual basis. And part of the strategy that I believe that the board has taken on is to try to make up and try to get more towards the median, right? And the data you'll see in this report, and as you've seen in this report, is sliced and diced in a number of different ways, right? And so the information that Commissioner Hopkins shared is certainly one of the ways that it was mentioned in the report, and there are a couple other ways as well. So that salary study then is just provided to you for information, so you can provide us direction with a recommendation to bring forward. And based on the conversation then that you all had at the retreat some time ago, the direction was to bring forward a recommendation of that 10% then for the county commissioner's salary, noting some of the discussion that you've had here this evening. The other thing that I just mentioned, because I think it's relevant to this conversation, and that's contained within your board operating rules and guidelines. And in the compensation section of the board operating rules and guidelines, it does provide for before the effective date of a new salary, each county board member shall have the option to decline any salary increase in writing if they so choose. So just felt like that was also relevant to this part of the discussion. The other thing that I'll mention as it relates to the county attorney and the county sheriff is this board also recognized that those 2 elected positions were undercompensated as compared to other positions across the state, and to make sure that we're getting the most competitive the most competitive folks that would apply for office in those positions, this board gave us the charge to try to bring those up closer to the median as well. So that's the information I guess that I'd share with you all tonight as you're considering this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment? Well, I've been here a long time comparatively, so what's happening is that yes, these are big increases, but our choice 3 years ago was we were at about 60% of our comparative average, and we could have jumped up all at once and just said, okay, we'll get us up to average, and then we'll do increases that are more palatable and more like the rest of the state. But at that time, we said, okay, we'll take this over a period of steps. And if we stop taking these steps, then essentially we just fall back to where we were. And we never come up to a point where we are competitive with our comparative counties. And I think it's important that if you want people to run for these positions that are good at their jobs or have the potential to be good at their jobs, that you pay them commiserately. Otherwise, you're just going to have, and nothing against retired people or farmers, but that's all you're going to have on a county board is retired people or farmers, because this takes time and this takes sacrifice. And if you don't pay people, you'll get what you pay for. So I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the letter J, approve the 2026 Olmsted County Commissioner salaries and in-county expense allowance per month.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. I'll do a normal vote, and if we need to do a roll call, we'll do a roll call. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Hey.
Okay. So I think it passed. Is there any question on that? Thank you. Okay. Moving on to acknowledge 2026 Olmsted County Housing and Redevelopment Authority property tax levy. Radel?
Oh, good evening, Commissioners. Wilfredo Roman Catala, Olmsted County Chief Financial Officer. And yes, we have an acknowledgement. Before we get there, I just want to say a couple of words. We've been in this journey together for the past 10 months with the budget. There'll be plenty of opportunities for conversations, retreats, exchange of data. So hopefully tonight we come to a triumphant conclusion to this budget process in a seamlessly way. So that said, the first item on the agenda here is the request for acknowledgement of the Olmsted County Housing and Redevelopment Authority property tax levy in the amount of $5,568,544 to be collected for the calendar year 2026.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this before we have a motion? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion?
Sure, I would move approval of this, the adoption of this resolution.
Okay,
Second.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. All right, next up, adopt the final payable 2026 property tax levy and payable 2026 budgets. Fredo.
Correct. So now we're talking about the Olmsted County levy and the Olmsted County budget. And for this purpose, what we do is we talk about the two things. Number one is that those funds are considered governmental funds, the ones that consume the levy. And we also have included the Waste Management Fund, which does not use any levy, but we acknowledge the fund is here in the budget to be approved as well. So keeping things in order, we have the county levy payable 2026 amount of $141,713,639. There's a number of funds associated with that amount. I'm not going to list all of those, but that's the total amount needed to support the organization payable 2026. And then as you can see in the bottom of the resolution in front of you, we have total governmental funds, meaning all the expenses, if you will, related to year 2026 amounting to a total of $365,745,900. These are the governmental funds, those that consume the levy. And then we have finally the Waste Management Fund, $34,105,903, which is an enterprise fund and doesn't consume any levy.
Okay. Questions? Yes, I have a question. This represents the same 6.8% that we approved at the,
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, this is the same 6.8% that you approved back in September.
okay.
That's the maximum levy. So we can go lower, but not higher.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Move to approve or adopt the final payment of 2026 property tax levy and payable 2026 budgets.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any comment? All in favor, say aye.
Just a comment, because, you know, we're talking property taxes here and I probably said this before, but, and maybe Olmsted County needs to lead, the pressure on the property tax to fund all of local government's needs, whether it's city or county, is just, it's getting pretty heavy. And, with 80% of county expenditures mandated from the state of Minnesota and local government aid not coming forth, though certainly at the amount that are proportional to that at all, not even close, of course. And reliance on that single property tax, it's basically the only way we get money. We get a little off sales tax, but that goes to transportation. I just think we need to begin the conversation with our legislators and maybe even the county organizations towards either getting more support from the state of Minnesota or giving counties options with respect to how they finance their government, because this is all of this burden on the property tax. We all know, we've heard it, it's pretty profound for a lot of people, and we got to be sensitive to that, and I think we are. But yet we're bound to deliver services, and even at 6.8%, which is, believe it or not, modest with respect to what many counties are levying across the state of Minnesota at this point, it's painful. But we got to do what we have to do. But I think going forward, we just need to have some conversation about what are the options beyond the property tax within the state legislature to handle these obligations that we have, because they are profound, they are expensive, and it can't be all on the shoulders of the property tax. That duck isn't flying too much longer.
Right.
Good points.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you know, I was at the AMC conference, and Olmsted County takes a leadership position in many areas in the state. And certainly Commissioner Senjum kind of laid out a challenge there for not only us, but other counties to take this to the state and now even to the federal government that's pushing things lower and lower. They don't want to tax them, but they still want the services. It comes to the county, as Commissioner Senjum says, the only way that we have to operate is through property taxes. But we simply do need more help with county program aid, as well as to figure out how they're going to fund all these things without pushing them on the county. Can't continue. All of us are concerned, especially about our low-income seniors, anybody low-income trying to hold on to a house. They have expenses that are medical. They have expenses, groceries are going up, all these other things. But we still want to keep them in their homes because we have no place else for them to go. So it is imperative that the state takes up this issue about how they're going to fund these services without pushing them to the county and expecting us to do property taxes to carry them out.
Mr. Chairman, I just add, or get rid of the mandates. Give us a choice.
Second that. All right. All right. So we have a motion and a second. I'm told we got to do roll call. We'll start out here. Bob? We have roll call vote on this.
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Laurel,
I,
Greg,
Aye.
I'm aye. Passes unanimously. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, I see nothing else.
Can I just, thank you, Wilfredo, for months and months of educating us and getting us to this point.
Yes. Excellent job.
Okay.
And now, Mr. Chair, it starts all over again.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right. Okay, before we start with board and committee reports, I'm gonna give Laurel Podolsky Smith the opportunity to state something.
Thank you. The board had a chance to review a statement of support to our Somali and immigrant communities at the admin committee. And I'm happy to say that that the letter was signed unanimously. And so we have a public statement of support in response to disparaging rhetoric that has kind of arisen locally and nationally in recent weeks. And I'll just read the letter. A statement of support for our Somalian immigrant communities. Olmsted County is home to diverse communities who contribute to the strength, well-being, and future of our region. Among those communities is a vibrant Somali population whose presence, culture, and commitment to family, work, and service enrich our community in countless ways. We have witnessed broad characterizations and disparaging rhetoric directed at Somali people, both nationally and locally. Words that demean, dehumanize, and target any group of people do real harm. Harmful words create fear, isolation, and sow division. History has shown us that violence against people, groups, and entire population often begins with divisive rhetoric. We recognize that many members of our Somali and broader immigrant communities may be feeling scared, confused, or angry. We want you to know you are safe here, you are welcome here, and you belong here. Immigrants of many backgrounds, past, present, and future, have shaped Olmsted County into a place world-renowned for innovation, compassion, and commitment to community. That story continues today as residents from all parts of the world start businesses, raise families, work in essential jobs, contribute to schools and neighborhoods, and help build a future we can all be proud of. As a county, our mission and values call on us to serve residents with dignity, respect, and fairness, and to uphold the well-being and safety of all who live here. Those commitments do not shift based on politics or public rhetoric. Our mission and values reflect who we are and what we stand for. We reject language that degrades and threatens our neighbors, and we stand firmly against efforts to turn members of our community into targets of hate, suspicion, or exclusion. We encourage residents to extend care, allyship, and support to their Somali neighbors and to all immigrant communities who may be feeling the impacts of this moment. Olmsted County is stronger because of the people who call it home. We are committed to ensuring this remains a community where everyone is valued, where differences are respected, and where families can build safe and fulfilling lives. And I thank all my colleagues for being willing to sign this letter and make this a public statement.
Thank you, Laurel. Okay, we'll go to board committee reports. We'll start on this side. Bob?
Nothing to report.
Brian?
No report.
Michelle?
No report.
Wow. Okay, Greg?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I was at the AMC Legislative Conference, and it is true. Olmsted County does take a lead in many, many areas, health and housing, on solid waste. Those are some of the things that I mentioned, but also in public safety in all areas of county government. And so we are really, and our staff is up to the challenge of taking to the state all kinds of suggestions that they can do to improve the lives of people in Minnesota. So I look forward to us continuing in that vein.
Thank you. Laurel?
No report.
Dave?
Thank you. Maybe just a couple of things. We have our sheriff with us tonight, as always, and I know he's had a tough week. I think all of us in our area have had a tough week with respect to what's happened in Stewartville. But I just want to compliment him on his competency, his professionalism, and the way he's approached maybe one of the most difficult times in his professional life. And I think he's just represented us very well down there in terms of dealing with, again, a very difficult situation. And we certainly, from my perspective, I think I can say maybe for all of us, thank you for your work. And certainly we extend our thoughts and sympathies to those that are grieving in Stewartville. Two families, in fact, an entire community that is grieving and in shock probably from what's happened. And so I just wanted to say that. And again, especially compliment our sheriff for the way he's handled, again, probably the most difficult week in his entire professional life. And then to say to my good friend Pete, and he's a good friend to all of us. As we adjourn tonight, it's his last meeting with us, although he's going to be on payroll, from what I understand, for a little longer. So if we have an emergency meeting, we can call it. But I don't know when we all got to know Pete, but we all have a point in time, and I got to know him, I think, back working at Mayo, and he was a public health person, and I was the environmental health and safety person, and somehow we connected. And along the way, I asked Pete if he would serve on our institutional biosafety committee, and he endured that for a number of years, talking about genetic reengineering and things like that. But he says it was right over his head. I don't think so, but he served outstandingly, by the way, as he always does. But Pete, you've just been a delight to work with. I never thought I'd be sitting up here and having this relationship with you, but it's been a delight to have you. And I think I speak for all of us and our entire community. The service you've given this county over the last 42 years has been simply outstanding. And you're just frankly the model of a county executive, I'll say. And we just so much admire and appreciate what you've done. So thank you, and have a good life. And hopefully you'll make it through the next month without a call. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll share a short report on DMC meeting that we had last week, where we had a couple nice reports. One that outlined the population within the DMC district doubled from 2015 to 2025 and is predicted to double again in the next 10 years. So basically 300% increase in 20 years. I think I shared, and Laurel doesn't believe me, that 71% of the streets within the DMC district have had major capital improvement projects already done or will be done in the next 5 years, which is an incredible pace to rebuild streets and sewers downtown. So that was some interesting news to share. And then the University of Minnesota president came down and spoke and committed to big efforts to bolster UMR, which has already had by far its largest freshman class. I think it was 80% bigger than this past largest class at UMR. And they plan to put 1,500 student beds in the DMC zone in the next 5 years, which is really just great change for downtown to have that much vibrance. And then that also attracts new capital into our community as businesses see that there is a pipeline of people that will be able to work for them, and they're willing to spend their money here as compared to other areas to try to grow our area. So that was great news. So it was a very good DMC meeting. And I'll end with my last quote. It's from the late Rob Reiner, and he said, "Speaking out is a patriotic act. Democracy doesn't defend itself. It requires vigilance, participation, and courage from ordinary people." That'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Mr. Chair, you can't adjourn yet. We've got to thank you two for your outstanding leadership this year and recognize that. So thank you.
Fumbled through it, we survived. Let's get on the 26th.
We'll do it, Jared.
Thank you. Adjourned.